People used to treat me like I was nothing, a shadow in the bustling halls of Westridge University. But I was always more than just a janitor. My name is Leticia Santos, and for years I faced humiliation from spoiled college kids, their laughter echoing off the marble walls like a haunting melody. Tyler Collins, with his smug grin and entourage of entitled friends, turned my daily routine into a twisted game of target practice. Their mockery was a shallow victory, one they would later regret. What they didn't know was that I was once known as the Panther, a fierce fighter who dominated the underground circuit before I walked away from a life fueled by violence and brutality. Instead, I donned a uniform and became the invisible caretaker of their prestigious world, invisible until they decided to spill drinks and hurl slurs my way. I felt the old instincts stir, yet I resisted the urge to strike back, until that fateful moment when they vandalized my belongings. On the echo of that betrayal, something shifted within me. I decided to no longer be their punching bag. A confrontation ensued at the campus swimming pool, where my past erupted into the present. The transformation was exhilarating. I took Tyler's friends down effortlessly, each strike a release of the years of pent-up indignation. When the dust settled, their faces were a mix of shock and disbelief. Professor Harris and others witnessed the scene unfold, realizing that the woman they overlooked had the strength to reclaim her dignity. Consequences followed for Tyler and his crew, and suddenly I was no longer the forgotten janitor, but a symbol of resilience and empowerment. I opened the Santos Self-Defense Training Center, turning my story into a beacon for others seeking to rise. In the end, true strength lies not in fighting back, but in lifting others up. And that, I found, was my ultimate victory. "Look, it's just a janitor," Tyler sneered, tossing his soda cup toward Leticia as she pushed her cart down the corridor of Westridge University. The drink splattered on her uniform, bright red against the navy blue, a bold display of his privilege. "Oops, my bad," he laughed, his friends joining in, high-pitched giggles echoing through the marble halls. Leticia clenched her fists, her heart racing, but she remained silent, eyes downcast as she wiped the mess from her trousers. They thought she was just a laborer. What did they know of the battles she'd fought? "Hey, Panther, want to clean that up?" Tyler jeered, stepping closer, a spark of cruelty in his eyes. "Or do you need a little help from us rich kids?" Struggling to contain her growing anger, Leticia turned away, her mind flashing back to the cage fights where she'd been fierce and relentless. "I'm not your punching bag, kid," she murmured, barely audible. "What was that?" He leaned in, feigning innocence as his entourage snickered. "I said, back off," she warned, the strength in her voice surprising even herself. "You don't know who you're messing with." "Oh, please," Tyler scoffed, checking his watch. "Do you want a trophy for cleaning up after us? You're just a glorified maid. Go back to your little dirty job. This is what people like us do. We have fun." Revulsion bubbled within her. Leticia glanced toward Professor Harris and Diana Roberts, who exchanged worried looks from a distance. But the space between her and those who could help felt infinite, and Tyler knew it too. He took a step closer, lowering his voice. "I don't think you're as tough as you pretend to be, Panther." The last straw. Leticia straightened, her past flaring to life. A champion's fierceness ignited within her. "You think you can belittle me because of my uniform?" she spat, eyes narrowing. "You'll regret this." On. Tyler's laughter faltered, uncertainty bleeding into his expression as she moved toward him. No more silence, no more hiding. The hum of laughter echoed through the corridor as Leticia Santos mopped the floor, a rhythmic sweep hiding the turmoil brewing inside her. Students strutted past, some with their heads bowed in business as usual, others tossing mocking glances her way. They didn't know, they didn't begin to grasp the strength wrapped in her silence. Not even Tyler Collins, with his polished smile and diamond-studded ego, could fathom the fire that had once raged in her fists. Today their taunts cut sharper, fueled by some unseen igniter. "Look at her," Tyler sneered, tipping a slushy drink onto her freshly clean floor. "Maybe one day we should hire you to handle our dirty work?" Laughter ensued, a cacophony of privilege drowning out her thoughts. Leticia paused, grip tightening on the mop. Memories of the cage flashed in her mind. The roar of the crowd, the weight of her own past. She'd once been the Panther, revered for her resilience. Yet here she was, cloaked in a janitor's uniform, invisible amongst the privileged youth. The dichotomy left her feeling like a ghost haunting her own life. Yet today felt different. The familiar shame twisted into something heavier, a knot of pent-up rage coiling tighter within her. When Tyler pushed further, crossing unspoken lines with crude jests about her worth, something snapped. The sting of his voice awoke a dormant energy. Letitia clenched her jaw, breathing deep as the warmth of the past intertwined with the present. Then she saw it, a sly grin as her belongings were carelessly knocked over, revealing a blatant disregard for her dignity. Enough. The realization surged through her veins like a jolt of electricity. She was done suffering, her resolve ignited beneath the quiet storm. It was time to reclaim her strength. Talatisa stood at the entrance of the swimming pool, her heart racing, the echoes of Tyler's taunts still ringing in her ears. She took a deep breath and squared her shoulders, something inside her shifting. No more being invisible, no more backing down. As Tyler and his friends continued their mindless teasing, Letitia stepped forward with quiet confidence. "You think this is funny?" she asked, her voice steady and low. The laughter faltered, confusion seeping into their expressions. With a sudden resolve, she pushed aside the memories of a life she had vowed to leave behind. The warrior within her stirred, her fists clenching. Tyler swaggered closer, emboldened by his arrogance, unaware of the storm brewing in Letitia. "What's a janitor gonna do? Clean my clock?" he sneered. "Try me," she replied, her tone calm yet filled with a quiet strength. The anger within her wasn't just about the mocking. It was about years of being diminished. In a flash, the poolside turned into a battleground. Letitia pivoted, dodging a swing aimed at her face, before delivering a swift kick to one of Tyler's friends, sending him sprawling. The surprise on their faces was a small victory, a spark igniting a flame of courage within. Moments later, the remaining bullies circled like wolves, but Letitia stood firm. She anticipated their movements, countered their attacks with precision. With each fallen obstacle, she reclaimed a piece of herself, a reminder of the relentless fighter she had once been. Panting but unbroken, she faced Tyler, who now wore a mask of uncertainty. "You thought this was a game? Welcome to mine," she said, barely above a whisper, confidence threading her words. As the adrenaline faded, so did the fear of consequence. Letitia wasn't just fighting back, she was redefining herself. With her small victories, she felt clarity blossoming, her past intersecting with her present. A comeback was brewing, and this time, it was just the beginning. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting warm hues across Westridge University, but inside the bustling cafeteria, the air crackled with tension. Leticia Santos, the janitor, moved steadily between tables, her presence often overlooked by the affluent students, unaware of the storm brewing. Tyler Collins and his gang hovered near the entrance, their voices rising as they targeted Letitia. "Look at her, cleaning up after us?" Tyler sneered, launching a drink toward her cart. Laughter erupted, echoing through the hall, a cruel din that pierced Letitia's calm exterior. She stood still, her heart racing, the memories of her past life flickering at the edges of her mind. The Panther, a name whispered in awe, now buried beneath layers of humiliation. The event escalated. Tyler moved in closer, pushing Letitia's boundaries. "You should know your place," he spat, his entourage snickering in agreement. But beneath the surface, Letitia's resolve hardened. Each insult fed her fire. She refused to remain the victim, the silent janitor, any longer. In a flash, Letitia pivoted, an unexpected force emanating from her being. The sound of a fist against flesh cut through the laughter like a knife. One by one, Tyler's friends fell, stunned as Letitia's fists struck with precision, a dance of controlled strength. Tyler stood frozen, his bravado unraveling as the realization dawned upon him. This was no mere janitor. With the cafeteria now silent, Professor Harris and Diana Roberts stood witness, eyes wide with shock and respect. The tides had shifted. Tyler's arrogance collapsed under the weight of his own mistakes. Immediate consequences followed: suspension, looming expulsion. Tyler's head hung low, embarrassment oozing from every pore. Letitia straightened herself, pride swelling within her. No longer the invisible worker, she had transformed. Her past, once a shameful secret, now a badge of honor. The applause began, a silent clapping of acknowledgement and vindication, a profound emotional payoff. In that moment, Letitia stood tall, the victor. She had not only reclaimed her dignity, but had sown the seeds of change within Westridge University, proving that true strength comes from lifting others as she rose. Letitia Santos stood in the quiet hall of Westridge University, a place where her worth had often been overshadowed by the arrogance of others. Reflecting on the chaos that had unfolded, her heart felt lighter, but the journey had been anything but easy. She had once lived in the shadows, her strength buried beneath the grime of disrespect and the weight of silence. Yet in that turbulent moment she found her voice, not just for herself but for all who had been unseen. She watched the whispers of change ripple through the campus. The establishment of the Santos Self-Defense Training Center blossomed amid newfound respect. Letitia realized that true power lay not in brute force but in lifting others up, transforming her pain into purpose. "Do you think I went too far?" she pondered, aware that her past as a fighter wouldn't define her future. Have you ever faced a moment where you had to stand up against the tide, knowing the cost of silence? I invite you to share your stories, to join the conversation about right versus wrong, and how we navigate our battles every day. Your voice matters. Comment below, and let's keep this dialogue alive.